Hey, everybody, back again with the Fantasy Football Expo podcast series. We are so excited. I love the rookies that come into town, and especially when they've got a super cool app. That gentleman right there is Bert. He's with Griddy Fantasy Football Puzzles. If you've seen that on Reddit, you know exactly what I'm talking about. We're going to talk all about Griddy and how cool this is and how you can get it downloaded and be ready to get in some gritty games at the Expo next week. Coming up next. All right, just over a week away from the Expo. My head's exploding. But we're going to be ready, and we're really excited because we got this new person here, this new company. Just met him. He'll talk about that, how he found out about the Expo, but you'll know. But Brian, welcome to the show. Excited to have you. Love this app. Can't wait to get into this and start playing myself. Tell everybody where you're calling from and, who you are, and then we'll kind of go with the interview questions from there.
Yeah. So I'm Bert. As the nameplate says, I am the founder of Griddy Fantasy Football Puzzles, calling in from Los Angeles, California.
There you go.
California guy, born and raised, did a stint at Tulane University out in New Orleans, and then back west. But excited to be here, excited to chat.
Yeah, I remember when I first kind of heard about, or like I said, earlier this summer, I started seeing things pop up on my Reddit feeds and Griddy this and Griddy that. And I'm like, what the heck is Griddy? And I'm like, you know what? This looks kind of cool. I should reach out to this guy. And next thing you know, we end up meeting at FSGA, and boom, here we are. And it's good stuff. So Brian, before we get started into all the great things about Griddy and what it is and what it's about and how people get involved, let's go back in time. Now for you, this is not going to be a long period of time because you're a heck of a lot younger than I am, just by a few years, I think. But talk about your humble beginnings in the fantasy football world. When did you first start playing? Who got you into it? How old were you? Like, when you were younger, high school? I've had people that said like middle school, like they were 10. I'm like, what? But talk about your beginning in the fantasy football just world, and we'll move on from there.
Yeah, it really all stemmed from a father and a family that was obsessed with the Buffalo Bills. We were always lucky enough to be the house with the red zone back when it was only DirecTV cable. My dad's from Buffalo, just was a rabid Bills fan his entire life. And so my sisters and I, every Sunday at 10 a.m., we were put right in front of that TV, and you didn't miss a snap. You didn't miss a down. And that was,
best father ever.
Absolutely. Well, absolutely. And, those were always such special mornings and afternoons. And it really just created such a love of football, not only the sport itself, but everything that comes with it. It's the community. It's the ritual, it's the connection to your friends and family that's really built on top of that shared love of the sport and the team and everything that comes with it. And, for me, I was always obsessed with the game. I was obsessed with the stats, the analytics, the strategy that went into it. And so naturally it led, of course, to a very early interest in fantasy football, where, I was actually in elementary school, fourth grade.
Okay, there we go.
Yeah, I was one of those kids, and so I started acting.
Those special kids that knew there was more nerdier than nerd. Like, there's nerd, and then you're like fantasy football nerd. You're like, what, are you gonna play Dungeons and Dragons next? Come on, what's wrong?
Yeah, no, it was only football, and I was like commissioning public leagues on Yahoo, and this is
how old were
back
you?
In the day, 9 or 10.
You're commissioning live leagues. I love it.
Yeah, I was, the special kid, like you said, but that was back before they were tracking live stats. I was doing, doing the math myself by hand.
Right, but so you weren't using. So I remember we've had a conversation just kind of talking about things, and for you folks out there that are trying to understand how much Brian loves computers, look over his shoulder and you'll see An apple, what was it? What was it called?
Yeah. Oh, it's just a dinosaur of a Mac right
Yeah.
there.
Oh, yeah. So it's an apple, like one of the first Macintoshes sitting over his shoulder,
Yes.
just there to show you that this guy loves his computers and he keeps them as keepsakes. And you got to appreciate that. I mean, that thing is older than Brian's alive. I guarantee it,
It
or at least pretty
definitely is.
close.
It's got me beat for sure. I don't know if it still runs. It's now full-time decor, but
Yeah, no,
we
but
get
it's still very
compliments
cool.
on
I
it
just
occasionally.
like
Yeah.
it. Yeah. But anyway, so like you said, you got into fantasy football. You're running leagues on Yahoo at 10 years old is fantastic. Then, now you're moving through. I mean, obviously at some point, it's such a young age. Like, how did Griddy come about? Did you get bored with real fantasy, which is usually what a lot of these games like? So I just earlier did an interview with the guys from Smash Up Sports, and it was
Yep.
their same concept. Like they got bored. It's all the same. You're just playing traditional fantasy football. So they added like these cards, like almost Pokemon, Yugi cards, and
Mhm.
have different power ups and power downs and defenses. And I know Griddy isn't that, but is that how Griddy came about? How did Griddy come about from your experience in the fantasy football world?
Yeah, I think it was actually the experiences outside of fantasy football with a lot of these other types of sports games where you look at, a lot of the Madden franchise mode or the
Mm,
Ultimate Teams, a lot of these team builder games where, you know, I started to pay attention to the fan bases of these games, a lot of the content creators in these games, and I really noticed that the aspect of the games that people seemed to like the most was the team building part of it and the strategy part of it. And so the idea for a a football game that was more based around the team building part of it rather than anything connected to the real life NFL or based on player stats was really always in the back of my mind. And just really paying attention to the specific mechanics within these games that made them so fun, engaging, addicting, and made them replayable. And so for me, it had nothing to do with boredom of real football or fantasy football because I still, am in a bunch of different leagues with a bunch of different friends. I'm still commissioner of them, and they're still like my absolute favorite. But really, where it stemmed from was, hey, these games, whether it's fantasy football, daily fantasy, or sports betting, are all very seasonal. They're
mhm,
completely dependent on the NFL schedule. And these are games that really are only going to get maximum engagement or maximum involvement when it is the NFL season and even when there's an NFL game on. And so for me, what I identified was a massive gap in the market where I say, hey, there are tens of millions of people like Bob and I and like everybody that's attending the Fantasy Football Expo that for them this isn't a 60 days a year hobby. This is something that we're obsessed with, that we love, that we're super
right.
passionate about. And what I saw was, hey, there's not a consistent outlet for that passion. If it's a summer day in July or even a Tuesday or Wednesday during the season,
Right.
well,
It's like,
there's only so much that you can do. I'm in my dynasty leagues and I love it. There's only so many trade offers I can
right.
send out in one off season. And so really what I wanted to do was to build a game that users could play any day of the year, any time of day, no matter who you are, where you're from, how old you are. It was a game that was accessible, free,
Mhm.
easy to learn with a lot of strategy and nuance that was connected to the NFL but wasn't trivia, didn't require a ton of background knowledge, and really that's how we landed on Griddy. And happy to dive more into the app itself and how it works.
So, of course, everybody out there right now is thinking the exact same question as I am. Did you name the game after the dance that Justin Jefferson does?
Yeah, so it's a bit of a double or even a triple entendre where, of course, Griddy is the popular touchdown celebration, but
Yeah,
the game works that you draft cards onto a board that we call the grid.
red.
So there's the Griddy dance, there's the grid that you draft on, and then of course, the field is called the gridiron. So that's the third level right there. So we got a little bit of nuance to the name.
Got it. And yeah, I mean, it all makes sense. It is I'm looking at the website now. I see so the website is griddy.cc. So obviously griddy.com must have been taken. So talk about the gameplay, talk about how it works, just the basics. I mean, again, I know you got to download it. You can get it from Apple Store and Android. So that's a good thing for us old people that use Android. Talk about how it works, how you basically how you play, and the fun you can have with it, how everything works, and why you can get hooked real quick.
Yes, you can. Yeah, so Griddy is a daily strategy game, almost like a New York Times style game where, for a lot of people, it's just part of their morning routine. They wake up, they play, they drink their cup of coffee. It's a single player draft where your objective is to assemble the highest graded team possible using randomly dealt player cards. It's a 9-round draft where each round you are given 3 random options that you select one from. Your objective is to not only pick the best players like we're used to, but build chemistry through your team. And that's really where the puzzle and the strategy comes from. Your objective is to match players from the same team, the same division, or the same draft year connected by lines on your grid. Mm-hmm. And so the grid has 9 spots, and throughout the rounds, you're dragging players onto your grid, and then you're moving players around on the grid itself to figure out, hey, how can I build the maximum amount of chemistry with my team? And so what it turns into is really this highly strategic game that involves a lot of strategy and planning and a healthy dose of luck in the cards that are drawn. And so we found that really the balance of a lot of these different factors means that every single draft, no matter how many thousands you do, are going to be different. And for that reason, it's drawn a lot of parallels to games like chess, even where we feel like we're taking a lot of elements of the NFL and of building teams like you do in fantasy football and combining it with more strategic games like a chess or a Wordle. And so that's been a lot of fun for people. And because the teams and the drafts are graded in real time based on our own proprietary scoring system, it's not tied to the real NFL, which is a big differentiator for us. There's a lot of amazing games and experiences that are tied to real life stats, and we think by building a game that is decoupled from the real life NFL, it actually presents a much different value proposition than traditional fantasy or real money games. And in that, you can play it throughout the off season. We've had 2 million drafts done since the Super Bowl, which is, I think, a testament to exactly that.
No, that's awesome. Talk about then, how does one win? Do they win daily? Is there a cumulative leaderboard? Is there any money involved paying for or receiving? Those are, again, questions that I think of that I think others will have. So talk about that.
Yeah, so Griddy is completely free to play with no ads. It is not a game that you play to win real money. And again, that's an important distinction, because what that means is that it's fully accessible. There's no age requirements. There's no geographic restrictions. There's no, socioeconomic barriers. And again, it's all back to, hey, how do we create a game that anybody can pick up and play? And in terms of, what you're playing for, there's a lot of different game modes, statistics, leaderboards in the app. We have daily, weekly, all-time leaderboards. We track your averages, your top scores. We're adding achievements and badges in soon, which you can see for yourself or for your opponents. And then we've also transitioned much more this offseason into the peer-to-peer game modes, where now, instead of just doing your drafts and trying to rank up, climb the leaderboards, climb the ranking ladders, now you can actually challenge friends. And so this is really a great foundation to a whole host of different settings and features that we're going to add, where You can create leagues with friends, do tournaments, do round robins, customize game modes. And so, today, if you and I wanted to play a Griddy draft against each other, well, now we can select, custom timer settings. Do we get 5 minutes to complete our draft, or do we have to do it in 30, or do we have to do it in 30 seconds?
Ooh.
And so,
can you do it that fast? Is that even possible?
Yep. Similar to the chess world again, with the parallel being
the speed chess.
Chess, it's become a big thing in Griddy with Speed Griddy. And another feature that we rolled out recently is the same cards feature. And so, in the solo game, you're dealt random cards. If you and I played against each other, we could select the option to get dealt the same cards each round and see who's able to better utilize their options.
All right. Yeah. That sounds very cool.
And people have just really latched onto it. We do 5 drafts a day maximum, at least in terms of the ranked drafts, and that really helps to create that Wordle style habit or routine where, hey, exactly what you're getting each day. It's going to be 10, maybe 15 minutes out of your daily routine, but it's not something that you're going to be forced to play for hours on end to be competitive in the ecosystem or on the leaderboards. And I think that's something that's really helped the longevity of the game, where we launched in late fall last season, and we have hundreds, thousands of users that have played literally every single day since then. And that daily ritual and that daily limit is a big part of that.
Gotcha. No, that's cool. That's cool. So do you see down the road that you will allow ads? There will be sponsors. What is your long-term goal for this scenario for you and the company?
Yeah, I'm not too concerned right now about ads, partnerships, that sort of thing. It's inevitably going to be. It's inevitably. I mean, it's obviously a business consideration, but for me, it really is just completely hyper focused on the user experience, on improving the product, and really building the community. And I think so much of what's been so special about the journey up to this point is not what's happening in the app, which is super exciting, but it's really seeing the communities that are forming on Reddit, as you called out earlier, and on Discord and across social media. It's a lot of people that have really embraced the game and the platform and their fellow users, and that's just been so much fun. It's really a positive corner of the internet where people are really supportive of each other and just having a lot of fun, and it's people that are playing for the right reasons. And to go back to kind of my why, or how I got into football, it really was so many factors beyond the games themselves. It was the connections, the relationships, everything that was built on top of this foundation of a shared love of football. And that's really been extended to Griddy, which is just such a special thing. And really, it's what I care about most, is just keeping that user base and that community happy and having fun.
Love it. Love it. Well, sir, you have built something that obviously people have latched onto, and congratulations on that. You're coming to your first expo. We've already kind of discussed the fact that how we met, but so let's tell people about what you got planned at the booth. For people, maybe play some games, get some things going together. What do you got planned for the expo weekend when people head your way?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, first and foremost, we're going to get as many people drafting as possible, because it's one of those games that you just got to see and feel for yourself. And so we're going to have a couple of big screens going with Griddy drafts that anybody can play. We're going to have our own Expo leaderboards that are going all weekend.
There you go.
We're planning on organizing a full tournament at the booth itself for those that want to participate, get a little bit more competitive. If you're starting to get the game, it's all clicking. This is your chance to prove it out on the gridiron. And so we're excited about all of that. We got a Justin Jefferson signed jersey hanging next to me. That's going to be given away, along with some other small prizes, swag, and it's really going to be a lot of fun. I think what makes Griddy so fun and engaging is going to translate really well to the expo, where we don't have to try and tell you about the game and how much, you're going to love it a month from now. We can hand it to you and you can play and you can compete. You can download it yourself. You can challenge your friends. You can challenge people you meet at the expo. And so for me, like, best case scenario is a lot of people try the game, love the game, which I think they will, and they end up playing Griddy throughout the weekend. So that's really our hope and our plan.
Yeah, no, and we're excited to do that. I think it's going to be a lot of fun for people to get involved. So, yeah, no, again, Brian, thank you again for being part of the show and being part of this weekend or next weekend, I guess. It's that close, folks. But so before we go, tell everybody where they can, again, find everything, apps, website, socials, all that kind of good stuff. And then we'll see all of you folks out there next weekend. And you'll be able to hang out with Brian, and Brian will show you how to play the game. And then you'll be just like walking around like, what's his name? Dave Chappelle. Like,
yes.
Hey, you want to play Griddy, man?
Yeah. That's what a lot of our users are doing these days.
Yeah, I bet.
I'm so excited to meet everyone, just excited to be involved in the community and just meet so many awesome people. If you want to check out Griddy before getting there, highly recommend it. It'll give you a leg up in the tournament. You can just search Griddy, like the dance, GRIDDY, in the App Store or the Play Store. And if you like it, I highly recommend you also check out the Reddit and the Discord, because they're really, really great communities, super active, and a lot of awesome people. And you can find the links to those in the app settings. And if you have any questions, either about the app or the strategy, because there's a lot of nuance there, you can start to compile them, and we'll have a couple of my fellow Griddy coworkers who are experts at the game. They'll be teaching strategy and answering questions, and so save any strategy questions for the expo, and we'll do a deep dive.
Perfect. All right. Well, thank you, Brian, again for being a part of this. Everybody, don't forget, tickets will be cut off online on this Friday, because we got to have time to get all of our shirts together and our name badges all filled. A lot of stuff to do. So, we're not stopping you from coming. We're just saying there's no online tickets after this Friday. So if you do miss it, it's cool. Just show up. You can get the tickets at the door. They will be a little bit cheaper if you get them now. So do that. Check out all of your newsletters, because there's lots of coupons and coupon codes in there to save some money as well. So once again, that's Brian Bert with Griddy Football Puzzles. I'm Bob Long. Take care. God bless. We will see you next weekend.
Thanks for watching. Lock in your 2025 football tickets now at thefantasyfootballexpo.com. Hit subscribe and check out one of these excellent @FF Expo videos next.